Hello there. Thanks for joining me. Good to see you. It's got a bit chilly here today, hence the jacket. Um, and over the last few weeks, we've discussed nothing but coronavirus, and I thought maybe it's time to talk about something else because, of course, there is actually plenty going on. It's not proven difficult to fill up the pages of HCB, and the last couple of newsletters have also been full of a lot of things going on. And in particular, there's been a lot of news coming out of the tank container sector. So I'd like to focus on that today. And first, let me take you back to the summer of 2012 and the explosion and fire aboard the container ship MSC Flaminia en route from the US to Europe. If you know that incident, and you probably do because it has had quite extensive ramifications, not least on the regulations covering the transport of polymerizing substances. You'll also know that the initial fire began, or it's widely suspected to have begun, in tank containers with divinyl benzene. There are a couple of issues that came out of that, partly to do with the actual technology, but also as a result of the court case in New York, which apportioned liability on the shipper and its freight forwarder, or NVOCC. And of course, the liability in a case like that is quite hefty. It's around about, in the MSC Flaminia case, I believe it's around $260 million. And in the event of a similar accident aboard a much larger container ship, it could run into the billions of dollars. So this has caught the attention, not surprisingly, of insurance companies, and particularly the TT Club, which is a mutual insurer that covers a lot of P&I risks for containerized dangerous goods. TT Club held a very interesting seminar last October, which we reported on. And they followed up with a guidance document on managing the risks in tank containers. It's available free from the TT Club website, and it's well worth a read. And it does focus in one part on, as the court highlighted, the importance of communication along the containerized supply chain. And that includes tank containers, of course. And making sure that the liner operator, ship owner or manager has all the information necessary in order to make sure that the cargo is carried safely to its destination. When they talk about information, they're not talking just about what's required in the IMDG code. Although the IMDG code has been changed, of course, since then to require more information. But we've spoken a lot about digitization as well and visibility in the supply chain. And there have been difficulties, not least in deep sea transport, of actually finding out where your particular consignment is and what condition it's being carried under. There are efforts underway, and some systems have been put in place now to allow tracking all the way along the door-to-door chain, including a maritime leg. And if you pick up an online edition of HCB, May, which should be out at the end of this month, there's an interesting article on what Clear Metal are doing in that regard. But also, and certainly for road transport in Europe, I was surprised in a way, but quite happy to see last October, it was during the EPCA meeting in Berlin, I spoke to Joop Eerts from Den Hartog, who told me about a project that his company was involved in, along with others, to actually establish some standards for communication in the tank container supply chain in land transport in Europe in particular. And he said at the time that he'd been in touch with ECTA, the European Chemical Transport Association, to see if they could progress the work, which I thought was a good idea at the time, because ECTA has some experience in digitized systems after having brought into play the Electronic European Cleaning Document, EFCO cleaning document, apologies to EFCO, very quickly, and that's now in use. And I was also surprised a couple of weeks ago to get a message from ECTA to say, here are our new guidelines on visibility in the supply chain. And I thought, wow, they've got that done quickly. I have had a look at it, and again, we'll be reporting on that in the May issue of HCB. What it aims to do is basically to establish the various milestone messages that are required by the various different players in the supply chain. Of course, not all players need the same information. And to establish a format by which that information can be gathered from various sources and shared to the people who need it securely, and without the loss of ownership of that data, which has been one thing that has been holding up wider adoption of digitized systems, I think. And also the other thing that has been holding up rollout has been a lack of standards. So what ECTA has done very quickly is establish that format and standards. And I do hope that industry at large, and that's not just the tank container business, but haulage companies, chemical shippers, and so on, will take a look at that and apply it in their own systems. That too, that guidance is available free of charge, and that's on the ECTA website. More information has been provided by the International Tank Container Organization, ITCO. Their annual Global Fleet Survey was published a few weeks ago. That too is available free of charge on ITCO's website, itco.org, I think. And it reveals some changes over the past year. Last year, output of new tank containers from China was lower than in 2018. Although it sort of intimates that still too many to actually meet the actual demand that tank container operators are demonstrating. And a lot of those new tanks went into the lesser fleets, and we hear that a lot of them were still stacked up at manufacturing sites or at staging points around the world, waiting for business. There was not a lot of change in the various lists of the major manufacturers and operators and leasing companies, although it was apparent that, yes, some of the leasing companies had taken the opportunity of comparatively low prices to stock up. Let's not forget the leasing companies are often backed by investment funds that have money to spend that they don't necessarily need to see a return on for the next few years. But more recently, and certainly, I mean, talk inevitably comes back to the coronavirus. I also hear that a lot of those new tanks that have been lying idle are being picked up. There is a lot of work for tank containers, not just in moving product around, but actually as storage vessels, because chemical manufacturers and beverage manufacturers, for that matter, are not keen to interrupt production. And if their output is not in demand, then they've got to store it somewhere. And tank containers can offer that option. It's a measure of their flexibility that there are more ways of using a tank than one. But we also hear that the chemical industry, certainly in Europe again, is holding up. Obviously, demand from the automotive and construction sectors has fallen off a cliff. But obviously, again, the healthcare and pharmaceutical sectors are very busy. So There's a lot of information out there. If you're interested in tanks, go and take a look. And don't forget, if you need them, they've got them. So with that, that's the end of the thought for this week. Best of luck. Stay safe. Hope you get groceries in. And I look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.